when you first said brainwashing.
Yeah, you could pick it up on Current.
Yeah.
Talk about that letter again, George introduced
Yeah.
it.
I mean, this letter shows that some people really had courage.
Well, this is the thing that made us. Even when America, when those poor folk left England and came over on those little boats,
Yeah.
it was courage. You know, oppressed and courage.
Mhm.
If your back's to the wall, you'll fight. And again, survival is the name of the game. And if you get you down to wherein you got to survive, it makes a difference. I remember when we were growing up, my sister and I told Daddy, said, Daddy says, a man down there stealing your corn. So Daddy says, where is it? So we're going to show him. We went with him down to show him. The man was stealing the corn, had a green sack, looked like an orange sack or onion sack or something. He was putting the corn in. And that guy, Daddy says, hey. He says, hey. He says, what are you doing? He said, I'm getting some corn. He said, I got a wife and 6 children at the house and they're hungry. Now, mister, I don't know who corn this is, and I don't give a D. But I'm going to take this corn home to my children. Daddy turned around and came on back up to the house. Scared us to death because we didn't hear no cuss words, you know. And we thought Daddy could whoop anybody. God. But he didn't bother that man. And that scared us half to death. We came back to the house, and we just whispered among each other, that was a bad man.
But it was a desperate man.
You get your back to the wall. Another sponsor here. These folks want to know. Look now, I'm paying you. Let's do a little something for my money. Endurance and outward. We'll take those two. Well, studios in South Gastonia, North Carolina. This is WGAS Radio. The time is 4 minutes past 7 o'clock. And, of course, that was the Country Boy Comes Home? Yeah, Willie Neal Johnson, the gospel keynotes out of Tyler, Texas. And, of course, he's on his way to Charlotte. We'll be over there September 6th on Sunday evening, the West Charlotte High School Auditorium. And with him, he's going to have the Bells of Joy, the Golden Crowns, and a couple more groups. But he says he's coming to do it his way. Usually you let him sing last, but he's not going to sing last this time. If he sing last, he's going to sing as long as he want to, and you're not going to cut any lights on him. That's what he's saying. He said, this is my thing, and when I do my thing, I do it like I want to. Willie Neal Johnson, the country boy who comes home. He will be in Charlotte, and I've got a few tickets for him, too. I even got some giveaways. I'm going to give away a few to some of those folk who would like to go that appreciate it. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to give them away, too. Okay? All right. Okay. Brother Bruce Stoney, we're here talking about various issues and events and happenings and dealing with the textile. Gaston County always recognized Textile Week and have the big showings and all the good things in the malls and in the stores and all this stuff. What they say, they got a slogan that says, crafted with pride, made in the USA. That's the textile stuff. How about it? Okay. He's gathering information that is of vital importance to all of us. And they're making a film. I don't know. You might mess around and get in it. And, you know, you might look pretty good in the film. Don't look too good elsewhere. Okay. All right. Okay. Anyway, that's what's going on. Let's see now. We have a letter here that was written many years ago when Firestone wasn't Firestone, it was Low Ray. And the young man there who was working at that time had the courage, with a shove from one of these good cohorts, to write a letter to Washington telling them about the treatments and the things that was going on.
This is a letter that Bruce Graham wrote.
Okay.
He said...
now, Bruce signed his, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he certainly did. And he said, I'm an inside employee. I'm required to work more than 40 hours a week, which was against the law then, you see. That was
Right.
when the 40-hour week came in.
Right.
I operate 3 machines, a waste feeder, a waste beater, and an opener, and am paid less than 30 cents for an hour's work. My employers due me extra compensation from July the 17th, 1933, up to the present date, which was January the 5th, 1934. And he signed it, and he's got down there, may we use your name if necessary? And he says yes, which took a lot of courage then.
That's right.
And it's co-signed by his old friend Charlie McLean. So
Okay.
it's, and this went into to Washington, and I asked Mr. Graham if he ever got his back pay, and he said he never did.
Well, I wouldn't expect he did. I was listening to another elderly gentleman a few years ago, 96 years old. He had his parents were slaves, and he said when they were freed, he remembered that they were supposed to have been given a mule and 5 acres of land, I believe it was, or something like that.
Or 40 acres and
Well,
a mule is
yeah,
what they used to say.
Well, it's something
Yeah,
that he was
yeah.
hoping. He said, but they never got it.
Well, it's interesting that Mr. E.M. Wallace, a white man, who put in a protest at the same time as Mr. Graham and helped Mr. Graham to do this, finally did get some back pay. He wrote many, many letters, and finally, we didn't know he got back pay until Mr. Graham told us. He said, yes, he finally got it, but they just took his job away.
Oh, wow.
Eliminated his job.
Right. Well, there's always a way, you know.
That's
they have
right,
this system.
yeah.
And this one was written by somebody, and they just didn't sign it.
That's right.
But they just wrote this one and sent it into Washington. Well, there's a lot of things been going on, and still going on, as far as that goes. And it takes courage, and somebody's got to put their best foot forward. And this is what we're doing here today. We're trying to solicit from those folk who have the knowledge, and has been experiencing some of these difficulties, to pass it along so that we might work on it, compile it, and expose it. That's it.
So
Okay.
please call in to our 800 number. It's 800-786-1767 between 9 and 5 weekdays. And we'll record your message and we'll get back to you, because we want the elderly citizens here, who, particularly the black people who worked in the mills, to come forward so we can get the facts and pass them on to their grandchildren.
Well, as of me, I have to pass it to my great-grandchildren. I messed around here somehow. I don't know what I didn't. They have messed around here and given me 7 great-grandchildren.
Oh,
But they're wonderful. They are wonderful. More music, and we'll be back shortly with more. I wonder who was T.A. Graham.
May have been his brother.
Elwood Jackson is the man with the plan when it comes to moving dirt, gravel, sand, hauling, backhoe, and all that kind of good stuff. And of course, he is one of the person who sponsor a greater portion of what's happening here on this morning program. And we want you to know that if by chance you need Elwood services, all you got to do is give him a call. He's listed in the telephone directory. He lives on Mary Avenue, and that number, of course, you can't remember it. I know you can't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. 864-8586. Did you hear what I said? Elwood Jackson, the man with the plan. Check him out, okay? Okay. All right. We have much more here to cover and expose. And, of course, they want me to read this letter here that comes from one of the employees of as we call it, the old Lorry mill is now Firestone. It has changed hands again. I believe it's now belong to a Japanese outfit. Okay, well, Japan gonna buy us anyway.
Looks like it.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And this letter says, I am writing you this letter to let you know just how we poor Negroes are being treated here at Mansville Jenkins Company, which was Lorry Mills at that time. There are some work 8 hours, some 10, some 11, some 12 hours a day, and all from 8 to 12 hours make only 20 cents per hour. And our boss man, T.A. Graham, tell us the mill's code law don't cover us, especially us Negroes. For $12 a week, it is just for white people only. How about that? Will you please, sir, look after this and do something for us, poor Negroes? A white man told me to write you about this. In the main office, at 8 hours a day and 10 cents more, they just show him a fake time sheet. How about that? The letter goes on and on with all kind of information, but it was signed by Gastonia, North Carolina, no name, and it was sent to Washington, D.C., and that was, I don't know the date on it, but it's been a long time ago.
Yes, it's.
What date was it?
It was written to Mr. Hugh Johnson, who at that time was over the National Recovery Administration, the old Blue Eagle.
Okay, I was trying to see what date.
You see that's you see his handwriting there
Yeah, okay.
on a tablet,
Yeah.
and this is the way people wrote thousands and thousands of letters to Roosevelt, to Hugh Johnson, to Madam Perkins, our first woman Secretary of Labor, even to Mrs. Roosevelt, because Roosevelt got on the radio. He was the first president to use radio, and he said, if the conditions aren't right, you write me about it. And people believed him, and they started writing it.
Well, he was a wonderful man, I tell you. We don't have many more like Roosevelt. I think all those kind of men has passed off the scene. We might have some to be born, but right now, looking at what we have to pick from presidents, I tell you.
Well, I can't argue.
But we gotta have something.
I can't argue with you there.
We gotta have something.
Yeah.
But well, sometime I wonder. Well,
Okay.
Anyway, we're gonna make it because we are America. 7:15. Let's see who else I got. Duran's Jewelers. That's that time. 15 minutes past 7 o'clock. And Duran's is downtown Gastonia, right on South Street in front of the courthouse, where Russ is there to take care, and Lynn is always right with him. So in the event that you need jewelry, now this is not the kind that tarnishes after you give that special friend a few years later. It lasts a lifetime. So if you're looking for something for nothing, don't look to Duran's. You have to look elsewhere. But if you're looking for that jewelry that you can appreciate, and that someone you give it to can appreciate it too, then you want to check out Duran's Jewelers. Quality jewelry, a lot of styles and fashions to choose from. And it's all there, and it's yours for the asking. So go in, browse around, let him know that you're in the market. That's Duran's, downtown, 158 South Street in front of the courthouse. 16 past 7 o'clock. Here's more.
Graham's granddaughter is
Thelma Massey.
Massey.
It's his niece.
Thelma Massey.
Yes.
Yeah, it's his niece.
What I'll do next is explain that Thelma Massey, who's Mr. Graham's niece, was the one who said, "Well, look, if you want to find more elderly black people, you get on this radio show," because half of Gaston County listens to this.
They are out there, but it's a strange thing about, and I guess it comes from brainwashing, but we are shy people.
Mm-hmm.
you could come into Dallas right now, and I don't think there's anybody around Dallas who don't know the Moses. And the only way you would really get a chance to know exactly where I am is you got to gain their confidence. They'll ask you, who are you? What do you want with them? You know, we're just that kind of a people. And it comes from, well, I don't know. I guess it's just, if you get hit over the head with a drop of rain long enough, I guess it have a tendency to soak in. Doesn't hurt you, but it does something to you.
Yeah.
You know, at the time that these letters were written, they were organizing unions in these mills, and a lot of these black people, we don't think that they joined the unions. Either they weren't asked, or they were just too frightened because
They were too frightened. Most of them was too frightened. You know, I was a union organizer at one time, and I have gone to the motel room, and I found a steak knife in my keyhole with a note on it that says, "Nigga, leave town." So I go in, I shake up the bed, and I go back and slide. I'm driving a car with a Detroit license on it, Detroit, Michigan. But we would drive the car into a van, and they'd take me wherever I wanted to go. Then I'd get out of the car and ride around and do my work, and I slip the car back in the van. They'd move it to the next stop. Well, you know, there is a way, and that's how I really got my start. Was making a little money wherein I could, because they paid well, but it was dangerous. It was very dangerous.
You were organizing for what union?
I was United. I worked for a corrugated box industry, and they came out of New York. And of course, when they set up the plant here, is when I went to work for them. I got this plant organized, and well, all of it wasn't but 2 box shops within 200 miles of Gastonia at that time, and now there might be 100. But it was a dangerous situation. When I came to work for this station 33 years ago, it was terrible. It was terrible. My boss sit right over there, and his shirt, the front of his shirt was wet with tears because of telephone calls I was getting. Because he had gotten one report, and he talked to me about it, and I told him, I said, I want you to do something for me, Glenn. You go over there and sit, and when the telephone rings, when I pick up, I want you to pick up and listen to what's going on. And he just flatly told me, he says, I just don't believe it. I said, no, you don't believe because you're not a part of the system. You're not supposed to believe it. You're not supposed to believe something that you haven't experienced, you don't know anything about. But, and I don't know. But you have to learn how to survive, and that's the name of the game. And if you tell that guy in power what he wants to hear, you can tear his butt up. Excuse my expression, but it's true. You tell him what he wants to hear. The guy in power, all you got to do is stay in the background and tell him what he wants to hear. And eventually, you can be in power. But now you got the smart mouth and knowing too much. It just won't work. Not when he's got the power.
Now those box factories are organized now?
Oh yes, yes, they've been unionized. As a matter of fact, they went out on strike a couple times while I was working, and they made me go out and work. I was in charge of the transportation traffic department. Oh, I had 2 guys that jump on the side of the truck one day. Tell me, says, where are you going with this truck? I said, well, I'm trying to do my job. Said, you're not going to take this truck anywhere. And I had a brother and another black friend who worked, and they says, get off that truck. So he's doing what he have to do. We out here doing what we have to do. Get off the truck. Jesus made it for us, and we got to make it for somebody else. That's the only way to make it.
That's what a lot of these workers, these black workers that wrote these letters, that's what they were doing.
That's right. It was a sacrifice on their part.
So when we were asked to make this movie that included the history of labor organizing in the 1930s, the question asking the black workers, did you join the union or not, sometimes that just wasn't the right question, because then
That's
you'd
right.
say, well, I guess they weren't part of the labor movement because they didn't join the union, but
Well, you know, that's another thing. Fear is a terrible weapon. It's a terrible weapon, and once you get a little fear built into something, you control it. That's
Mhm.
all. That's even in your kids.
Mhm.
That's in us. There's still, if fear is built into it, and that's one of the things that the Russians always used to say, that the way to control anything is to build some fear in it. Well, I guess that's true, but what type of fear? Fear to do the right thing, or fear to just leave it alone?
Mm.
So,
Well, my own feeling is that I'd rather lean on the love of God than the fear of the devil.
that's right. But you know, how many of us? Because there's got to be enough of us doing the right thing, or else life wouldn't
Yeah.
exist. You know.
Yeah.
But when you look around and think of how many people it is who you kind of have compassion for, you sympathize with, because of some of the things that's happening to them, and it doesn't have to, because they just don't know any better, or they are afraid to put the best foot forward. It's something to think about.
Mm.
George, maybe you could tell Mr. Moses how tough it's been for us to find the black workers to tell us story.
Okay.
There's a lot of people has began to speak out, though, in the past few years about injustice and things of this nature.
Oh, I can see the difference. In 1940, 41, I was working with Dr. Ralph Bunch on a study called The Negro in America. It was my job to go through a number of the southern states, find out how they kept blacks from voting and so forth. And so I helped him write a book on that. And I go back and look at that book now, and the conditions then are so shocking compared to what you've got now. I mean, I never thought I'd see the mayor of Charlotte a black man. I just couldn't have imagined it at that time. And if you read that book, you'll see that it would seem impossible then. So it has been a big change, and it's a big change because a lot of people finally said we're not going to take any more.
Well, that's the name of the game. You know, when your back's to the wall, you have to come out fighting. It does make a difference. Okay, thank you very much, Brother Owens, about the good news. 26 minutes past 7 o'clock, and of course, it's about 72 degrees now, moved up just a little wee bit, I'm sure. It was 70 when we first came in here, and it's not going to be too awfully hot today, in the upper 80s. How about that? 90s won't see it. Sure won't. And we still have Brother George Stoney here with us, and of course, we are discussing and going over some of the pros and cons of the Labor Department when it came to the textile industry of our area. And he's really having himself a time trying to find elderly people who worked in the textile mills and getting their stories. And what we're trying to do is assist them. And certainly we need your help to help us convey to those who are still alive and have some information that they can offer to make this what it ought to be.
Well, Reverend Moses, we got to you because Mr. Bruce Graham's niece, Thelma Massey, said, we can give you some names, but if you really want to get to the black people in Gaston County, you got to be on Bob Moses' radio show.
Well, thank
She
you
said
very
at
much.
least half of Gaston County is listening every Sunday morning.
Well, I don't know about that, but sometimes I think that the whole county is listening, especially when these phones are ringing and wanting this and want the other. But we all together. We're just a bunch of folk who are trying to do what we can to make it. That's all. And we appreciate them. We appreciate them very much. Nobody's any bigger than anybody else. All of us the same. Nobody's better than anybody else, but everybody's as good as anybody. So we go from that. And they feed me too much, and but I let them. That's not a morning pass that they don't bring me some food in, and some of it I need and some of it I don't, and I eat it all. And then they tell my doctor about it, and he gets on me because he says I'm not supposed to eat this and that, not to eat the other, and then he wants to know how I feel, and that's when we have our falling out because I tell him that's what I'm paying him that big money for. He's on vacation this week, so I can talk all I want about it. Okay, Mildred Pitts, I know you're there, and Louise, how about it? So you can give me a call too. I don't care. I'll talk with you this morning. 29 minutes past 7 o'clock here at WGAS in South Gastonia, North Carolina. One more once from the country boy who's on his way to Charlotte, Willie Neal Johnson, the Gospel Keynotes. We're a little quiet this morning, but I can imagine it's been so hot on them and they got a chance to sleep late in a cool morning.
So, did we come too early?
Oh, no. They'll be all right. We'll keep going on through the morning, actually.
Is there a speaker for that music that I could just put my little microphone to?
Do you have a studio monitor? Is that the big one there?
Probably.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can go.
Jamie, you might get some dials and so forth.
Last Sunday, I had a lady call me. That's right. She celebrated her 90th birthday last Sunday. And I was playing that thing, and she says, "Oh," says, "I got the best old shout." Mrs.
Yeah,
McCaskill.
yeah.
She is a wonderful old
Yeah.
lady. But she gets to talking, she won't hush. She just
Yeah.
talk.
Well, another thing you're doing is bringing stuff into their homes because so many of them are homebound now.
Well, that's true. I have one lady who calls me every Sunday. She's been bedridden for, I guess, 10 years. She doesn't get out of bed. And she calls me all during the week. And I try to leave little messages on the machine about the time I think that she's going to call me. All right, there you have Willie Neal Johnson there with his gospel keynotes, the new gospel keynotes out of Tyler, Texas, doing that thing. He says he's just doing his thing when he wakes up in the morning. He wakes up doing his thing. And if you want to sing, just sing on. You want to shout, just shout on. How about it, Mother McCaskill? Did you get your shout this morning? I know you did, because you tell me the doors of the church is open, and you should come on in. What is it? The preacher with the outstretched hand says, join me while you can. Okay. All right. Brought to you by none other than Mr. K, downtown Gastonia, where you'll find him pleading to you to be practical and give that thing called clothing. Okay? The sale is on. The dollar days, that's what he calls it. You know, he's already got the prices down where you have to reach up to get them. And now, it's even lower than that. I wonder what you're going to do about it. Well, use the old word that the older fellows used to use. He's just low down. How about that? Mr. K, big, small, thin, or tall, he's got clothes to fit you all. Why don't you check him out tomorrow? He'll be there. Now, he's not there today because he's in Sunday school this morning at 9:45. He teaches a class. Did you know that? He's pretty good on it, too. You get to talking to him about the scriptures, he can lay something on you. He sure will. But he loves selling those clothes, making you look good. Yes, he does. I tell you. Mr. K, downtown Gastonia, right on the main drag. I tell you, I got to go in to see him, too, because I want me some of this here latest fall stuff. They got some new colors coming out in the fall, and, you know, I don't like nothing dead unless you're going to bury it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to check him out. Meet me there, won't you? Clarence Jones, you think you can hang with me? I know you will. Well, let's do it together. Here's more for you from the Gospel Keynotes. Good morning, Christian Radio. Peace, brother. I'm here. You got your head in my life? Okay. Yeah, okay, all right. Right. Yeah, I've got a very fine young man in with me this morning. He's picking up information on the textile industry. And trying to find some of these elderly Negroes that work in textile mills so they can get their stores. They're billing to making a film. And it's just too bad that your dad is not living. I tell you, most of the guys that was really contributors to this particular has passed off the scene. I was thinking about old Big Whit. But I'm just wondering if Whit ever worked in the textile mills worth anything. I don't know either. I was trying to think. June Floyd. Now that might be a good man to talk with. Yeah. Now, where does he live? Okay. He lives over on Salem Drive. Right. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I know where Haskell lives. Haskell lives on the Castleberry, Newcastle or Castleberry or something like that. Well, I'll call all that area Myrtle School area, you know. So you turn right on the other side of Haskell's house and go up the hill. Okay, that's up in that. What is it, Captain Freddie Crawford? Freddie lives up in there too. Yeah, Freddie lives in the circle. Yeah, Freddie lived in the circle. There was another guy. What's his name? It was about 7 or 8 sisters, and these two boys, they were terrible baseball players down around Pleasant Grove. He was married one of those girls, and they live up there in that circle. Well, I guess he would be a good fellow to talk with. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. That's when you come to these elderly people, you got to have somebody. You're talking with somebody who has their some common sense. You know, they haven't lost their faculties there. Yeah. Okay. Well, good. That's right. That's right. You know, not this Wednesday night, but last Wednesday night, Brother Bryce and I were together at St. Peter's. And man, we had a beautiful time there. And of course, the following Wednesday night is when he became ill. And just went on off. But, you know, what sweeter way was it? There's not a sweeter way. Yeah, that's right. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm certain she all had a nice time yesterday. Good. Well, that's great. Okay, brother, appreciate that information. Okay, right. Hey, Dave.
Yeah, I didn't have no little wee cup of coffee.
That's all right.
I got your half pint.
This is Dave Williams. I'll telling you about the fellow that retired from Firestone.
Oh, yes.
Now this guy
Good to
here
see
can
you.
tell you something about the textile mill.
Good.
These fellows, this is Mr. Stoney. They are making a picture, a film, of the blacks who worked in textile mills, and some of the pros and cons of what happened and how they got what their jobs and what they did and this kind of thing.
Well, I worked in one 42 years.
Well, I'm sure that's what I was telling.
And,
Good morning, Mr. Radio. The time is 20 minutes before 8. The temperature is 72.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Okay, Dave.
Now,
Look here. I got you some stuff here.
Okay.
You better take this with you, because I got your stuff for you. I'm gonna.
All right. Thank you.
now that was Jim Floyd,
William Floyd.
William Floyd, and they didn't have a phone number, did they?
He's listed in the telephone directory.
Salem Drive, wasn't it?
Well, yes, I think. Well, I believe that's. I don't think that's Salem Drive. I believe it's the next street. But I know about what the street is, and I think I can identify his
Good.
number if we look it up here.
Okay. What did they say about him?
He was saying that he was well versed. He retired from Firestone, the same place as this guy, and he worked there some 40, 50 years. And he have all of his faculty. He thinks well, and he will be able to.
Good.
to talk with you and give you some good, solid information. This is a bad habit, coffee. And if you don't get a swallow of it, you can't make it.
William Floyd, 3001 Matthews Drive. Would that
That's
be
it.
it?
That's
Okay.
That's it. All right, there you have the gospel keynotes there working out one more time for you. And that was, what do they call him, Charles? Yeah, that was Charles. Or was it Robert? One of the two, I don't know. They switch him around every once in a while. He's got the new group now, so I don't know exactly who he's got. But anyway, he's got the gospel keynotes. That's it. Okay. Power Seafood, Franklin Boulevard, where there's plenty of free parking in front and on the side of the store, and the goodies on the inside, and that's what you're looking for. How about it? Power Seafood. Whatever you might want when it comes to seafood, they've got. Fresh when in season, out of season, they have it there frozen. Okay? Bill Powers is the man. He knows what's happening when it comes to seafoods, and he takes care of it to that particular. So, what do? You give him a call. Let him know that you're in the market for some seafood. Whether you want it packaged or you want it fresh. The one thing about it, he'll have it ready for you once you're there. And he says what you do, let him know a couple of days beforehand if you're going to have a big gathering or a big cookout like all the way Florida's had this past weekend. Over, well, matter of fact, yesterday, over there at the Bradley Center. Big family reunion. And they put it on. They had the big pot and the little one. And then they had a service thereafter that was saying something too. We had a chat with Floree this morning. She was there. Had a chat with Ottaway. He was there. A lot of other folk were there. Now we're trying to catch up with Brother William Floyd over there on Matthews Drive in the Myrtle School area because he was retired from Firestone and he has a lot of good information that we can use if we can get a chance to talk with him. So, Brother Mac, if you got your ears on, you can call us. If not, we're going to call you. Okay? So you get ready for us. All right. Anybody else out there that has been in the textile mills for many years and is retired and can give us some information or I just want to talk with us about it, we'd be happy to do that right here this morning. Since Brother George Stoney is here along with his team, and they will take all the information together now because they're trying to get it compiled to where they can do this film. And who knows? Who knows? Got to have something to pass along to our future generation. Everybody else is passing us something along to them. Why can't we pass something of vital importance along to them? Okay? All right. Get with it. Help us out, won't you? 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. I would like you to have a little sip, but he didn't bring but one cup. Good morning, Christian Radio. Hey! No, I didn't get that one. I got... kids are kids. He could have handed it to Mark. And if Mark got it, it's hard to tell what happened. But that's the Suggs and the Johnson, isn't it? Tate, Suggs, and Johnson. Okay. That's all right. We'll take it. We'll take it. She's doing pretty good. Okay, all right. Yeah, give her a call. Okay, okay. Yeah. What time will your affair be from? 11 to 4. Okay. All right. want to try to call it, Mr.
Yeah, I would think so. William Floyd, that's 861-8810.
Good morning. Is this the resident of Mr. William Floyd? Is he in, please? Could I speak with him? Mr. Floyd, his grandchildren, youngster. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to let you pick up one of the other phones
Okay,
on the other side when I get in here.
over there.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Floyd. This is Bob Moses. How are you? Good. I've got a young man here from with the U.S. Government Department checking on some information relative to jobs and past jobs with the Firestone, Low-Ray, and Textile and all this kind of stuff. He's making a film, and he's trying to gather information. And I'd been told that you had worked with Firestone and retired from there and might be able to give him some. Okay, you are not the one. Okay, all right, well, I'm sorry to bother you, but I want you to have a good day. All right, okay. See, this is what happens to folks. They are afraid to you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't tell them, I don't see no point in wasting time with a guy.
No.
But now that's William Floyd, and Ottaway has told me that
We're not the government.
well,
That usually
Yeah.
scares people
Yeah,
off. when you
but
say go.
look,
people don't like, black people primarily don't like to give information.
Mhm.
They don't like to give information. They won't tell you what time it is, Harvey. It's just one of those things.
George, explain exactly where we're from, though.
All right, it's 10 minutes now before 8 o'clock here at WJAS in South Gastonia, North Carolina, and we're still rolling along, and we are still enjoying and getting information and gathering information and making contacts and all that kind of good stuff. And you are part of it, and we appreciate you a whole lot. And of course, we had was trying to catch up with the Brother William Floyd, who is a retiree from the old Firestone mill, or the old Low-Ray mill. And we just want to talk with him a little bit. And I'm sure that he can talk back with us a little bit too, if he wishes to. Okay? Okay. We got to let you know that M&M Seafood and Chicken down on New Hope Road is where you'll find it cooked in that 100% cholesterol-free cooking oil. And that doesn't only make it good to you, but it makes it good for you too. So you can eat that and it don't bother you too much. Check it out. They have a luncheon special going on wherein you can find a whole lot of those special dieters foods for about $3.50. Can you beat that? I know you can. That's down on New Hope. M&M Seafood and Chicken, open every day, like 7 days a week, with the luncheon specials during the lunch hours, Mondays through Fridays. Saturday and Sundays, of course, is a little different. And if by chance you want to take your special group, they do group rates too. All of that good stuff. Check them out, won't you? I know you'll enjoy it. M&M, Massey and Mason. That's who it is. It used to be M, and M. Any, many, mighty, and Mo. But you know Mo had to go. Now it's just Minnie and Mo. Okay. Here's more for you. One more once from the Gospel Keynotes, and we'll be checking them out. But they are on their way to Charlotte. We'll give you a rundown of the events and happenings, casting shadows, right after this. Good morning, Christian Radio. Okay, Jackson family. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, okay. Right, right. Got you covered. Sure will. All right.
That a request?
Yes, Lord.
You get a lot of them, I guess. Yeah. Well, this project got started because there were a group of historians who had been writing about the textiles, and they felt that the information was incomplete because there was so little written about the workers. So they've done a series of books now. One called Like a Family out of Chapel Hill, another one called Habits of Industry. They've done a number of books, but people don't read as much as they should. And so they asked us to make a film.
And they will watch that one.
I hope.
Yeah, they will.
I was born and grew up in Winston-Salem, went to Chapel Hill, and have made a lot of films in the South, so that's the reason they asked me to take it on. And Judy here was a former student of mine at New York University, and she's been doing all this research in the archives that has found all of these documents. Mr. Graham's complaint, for example, 1934, she found all that in the National Archives. And so we're going on that, and the cameraman is my son, James.
Okay.
He also I teach at New York University now in the Tisch School of the Arts. I teach film and television. And it's kind of fun to work with former students.
Yeah, I can understand that.
The only connection with the government is that the humanities councils they use funds from the federal government, but they're not controlled by the federal government.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Most people don't get a separate tax bill.
Again before I put it out of there.
Let's go back to the man. How did you get?
I'll be able to play that again.
Okay.
I want to make it play it out, too.
Sure.
These go on at 8:30. So I cue them up and stick them in. I'll have them ready. That one goes and that one over there.
Does it go on automation at 8:30, or you get a break at 8:30?
I get a break at 8:30.
It's nice to be in a radio station that doesn't take its entire feed off the satellite.
I know.
You know what it's like? It's like McDonald's. Mediocre food no matter where you go,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
always one wherever you go.
Yeah.
make the day now.
Yep.
Supposed to golf it like that, it'd do your heartburn.
It's getting cold on